Hi everybody, welcome back for another episode of Dad Gym Life. I'm Bill Hassler, and today we're going to talk about fighting. This is a very special episode of Dad Gym Life because it's not about being a dad or about the gym or about life. It's about fighting, and specifically fighting in film. And this is a topic that I'm just really passionate about, and I'm passionate about movies, so maybe this episode will call Dad Movie Life, and we might do more of them. Anyway, action movies have recently changed. In 2014, there was a huge shift. But I really want to talk about how we got to that point. In the early days of cinema, the action scenes left a little bit to be desired. Best case scenario, you got Western boxing, and worst case scenario, you got other stuff.
When you're slapped, you'll take it and like it.
But then we got a bunch of help from Hong Kong, specifically Bruce Lee and a lot of those early pioneers, and they were wildly popular, and so you saw that kind of trickle into American cinema. And you got Chuck Norris, and there's all the jokes about Chuck Norris, but Chuck Norris is about as legit a martial artist as they come. So then we got some kind of Eastern martial arts in American action films. In the first Lethal Weapon movie, you have Finished by Triangle Choke with Mel Gibson. And there's kind of this like obsession with ninjas in America. And you've got American Ninja like 1 through 4. You got Kickboxer with Jean-Claude Van Damme, all of the Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. And so in the 90s, you had a bunch of American films where they're just kind of copying the style of Hong Kong cinema. And you kind of had mixed results. Like for every Matrix, you'd have a bulletproof monk. And the biggest problem with these films, whether they be the Hong Kong films or the American films, is they don't really reflect the way that people really fight in real life. UFC 1 taught us that effective fighting is not pretty. It's not the big, flashy, fancy styles. Those early pioneers, Jet Li, Sammo Hung, Jackie Chan, they were all part of the Chinese opera house, and literally what they did was dancing. And that's not to say that those guys aren't just tough as nails and wouldn't wreck me, but the average person isn't going to be able to use that stuff. In order to be able to fight well, you have to be like a third-degree black belt in those fancy martial arts. But the point of those movies, with all those guys from the Chinese opera house, wasn't to show effective fighting. It was to show what humans are capable of. I mean, you look at some of that early stuff, it's incredible. The choreography and the skill and the flexibility and everything that goes into it. All of those fights are incredible, and it just shows what people are capable of. I mean, even today, one of my all-time favorite films is Jet Li's Fearless. And I love it on a lot of levels, but the fight scenes in it, every one of them is just gorgeous. In 2002, we got something brand new in The Bourne Identity. And I think everybody came out of that movie and said, okay, pens are weapons now. But what they did with that was they said, how would people really fight? And they looked into specific knife fighting techniques, and they used Kali Eskrima fighting. It's a little bit more practical than a lot of the other ones, and so it feels a lot more realistic. Also, the cinematography changed, right? With the old Hong Kong cinema, everything was wide shots and really long takes. And with everything in the Bourne series, it's really close-up shots and very quick cuts. But what happened in Hollywood is they started using that style and overusing it, and they used it to cover up bad choreography. I remember I read an interview once with Jet Li, and he said that Americans can't do kung fu films because our bodies can't move that way. I can only assume that he means because we haven't trained from birth on like a lot of those guys did. And he's right. If you haven't done it your whole life, it definitely shows. What Hollywood has done to kind of compensate for that is they do that up close, shaky cam, and you can kind of cover it up. And then we got to 2014 where everything changed again. And it took a little bit of time to get here, but the history is really important, okay? Because what we had was this era where we had beautiful cinematography, that's the wide shots, the long takes, but very impractical fighting. And then we had the Bourne movies, which was practical fighting, but really up close, and you don't really know what's happening. And in 2014, we got a film called John Wick. And what John Wick did was Keanu Reeves, who had kind of changed film for America with The Matrix, he got back together with his stuntman, with his body double from The Matrix. He's now a director. And the director came to him and said, I think we should make a movie where people fight the way people would really fight, and also you can see what's happening. Crazy, I know, but that's John Wick. And so Keanu Reeves goes and he trains judo and he trains jiu-jitsu, some of the kind of more practical grappling arts. He does more of the hand-to-hand stuff. He'd already done a decent amount of kung fu, so he's pretty good on his striking. And he does close quarters handgun training so that he knows how people would really fight with these weapons. Now, everything is still stylized. It's still Hollywoodized. No, it's not 100% the way somebody's going to use the weapon. And it is just beautiful. Every scene is a long take and a wide shot with practical fighting, and it's incredible. Hopefully, it has changed the industry and people are taking note. I know that the director and producers of John Wick are out there directing and producing other films kind of in that same vein and in that same genre, and they're bringing that style to it as well. For me, this is the heyday of action films, because I love the old Hong Kong cinema, because the Kung Fu really is just gorgeous to watch. And I love the Bourne movies because you get that up close, very practical fighting. And with the John Wick style of filmmaking, we get practical fighting that you can actually see. I know, it's kind of a crazy concept, but I love it. So please, in the comments below, write your thoughts on this video. Am I right? Am I wrong? Do you think this is really going to change the genre? Or are we just going to go back to a lot of the quick cut, up close stuff? If you enjoyed this video, please share it, and don't forget to like and subscribe. If you haven't yet, you can watch my video on Am I a Bro here, and you can watch my video on Why Kids Need to Do Sports here. Thanks for stopping by, and we will catch you next time.
Watch the videos.